Hello! I think I'm live. This is the first Vintage Read Show live. And I don't know if it's going to be any better than normal, but at least I guess you get the sort of opportunity to see me make a big mistake in real time. Actually, I've been laughing while I'm waiting for more people to come in and join. I've been laughing reading all the messages that have been up while I think you're in some sort of little waiting room before I actually kick the actual button, and I can see you. Is there anyone in here yet? Can you see me yet? It's saying, oh yes, yes, I can see people. Sip, sip. A lot of people, I had to laugh at Julie Morrison's comment. I was reading it just as I came in, and she said, oh yes, Shauna's a little bit special. She's a bit special. And then Modern Monarchy said, yes, we appreciate her specialness. It was really funny. And I had to laugh at the comment too about the Shaunaettes. We'll have to get some sort of dance routine going. We'll have to get some steps and do some high kicks. The Shaunaettes. Welcome to the Shaunaettes. That'd be funny. I just realised actually when I was sitting here that you've only seen me from here up. You've never actually seen the bottom half of me, have you? So I need to film a film with me so you can see that I do have legs. That'd be good. You'd laugh if you saw my legs tonight because I've got jammy bottoms on. It's 9:30 on a Sunday night here. Now, I do have interesting topics to talk about. I'm not just going to sit here and prattle on, but I do want to welcome a few of you in because you've taken the time to come and say hello. So, Rosie S. not sure about the high kicks. Hi, South Africa. Hi, good morning from Florida. Alexandra, hi. Sip from Melbourne, sip. I haven't got a sip tonight. I thought there'd be too much to sort of navigate. Thanks, Julie. I know you meant lovely special, but I just thought it was really funny. She's a bit special. Oh, here we go. Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Deb. From USA. What time is it in the USA? It's really early in the morning. Gee, you're really keen. Philadelphia, Washington, D.C. Pauline Muir from the UK. Hong Kong. Wow. Gee, last time I went to Hong Kong, it was ages ago, absolutely ages ago, and I went to have a beautiful meal in a really famous restaurant there called Lindy's. I don't know whether it's still there, but gee, it was fabulous. It was absolutely fabulous. Windy night in Perth. Oh, yes. Well, it's been quite cold in Brizzy. It's been quite cold. We've got down. Oh, I had to laugh actually because everyone in New Zealand and said to me, you don't know what cold is. When I said it got down to 8 degrees, and people over in the UK, they were saying 8 degrees? That's summer. Get out the bikinis. So I felt a bit of a wimp. So I've got lots of things to chat to you about. I'll say a few more hellos. Oh, Trooping the Colour, yes, next week. That'll be exciting. Manchester, UK. Oh, and thank you for all your lovely comments about Taz and the chat with Taz. It was so much fun. It's funny because we were both a little nervous. I think it was more nervous excited because, you know, you never know how these things are going to go. But we just naturally chatted. I think we could have kept chatting for another 5 hours quite easily. We really settled in. So it was great. And we're hoping to do it again. We're hoping to maybe do it once a month and have a chance to talk about what everyone's talking about, whatever's, you know, the big topic of conversation at that time. Hello from Japan. Oh, I love Japan. Oh, I love Japan. I sat in a big bath, you know, those baths that go up to here, and I was staying in a little inn, and when you opened up the shutters, you could see Mount Fuji with all the snow on the top. It was just absolutely beautiful. Hello from the Philippines. Hi, Carolyn. Now, can I just check that you can all hear me? Just give me a thumbs up or a whatever you do, or a Y or whatever. You can hear me okay? Yes, 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 yes. Hello, Cole Joy from Geelong in Victoria. Yeah, you can hear. I gather you can hear because someone would have told me by now, wouldn't they? Yep. Okay, great. All right. So the reason why I decided to do my first live tonight was a very special reason, and I'm going to show you the very special reason, and it's this. 70,000 subs. So that was so exciting, and that happened in the early hours of this morning. So I thought, oh, come on, Shauna, don't be a chicken. You can do a live and say thank you to everyone in person, and that's what I want to do. Thank you so much. We're building such a community here now, and it's so much fun. And I feel like I know so many of you now. I recognize the names, and it's just like seeing friends every week. It's just fantastic. So I wanted to have a bit of a chat with you because I've discovered something. You know the whole baby reindeer thing? Well, I've discovered that there's actually a book on Kindle, and it's the play. And the reason why I was interested in it was, you know, all the hoo-ha at the moment with Fiona Harvey actually suing Netflix because they thought that they didn't hide her identity well enough, and they also said some things that she said were untrue about her going to prison and things like that. And you would have probably seen the Piers Morgan interview, which I'll talk a bit more about that in a sec. But I was curious because I thought, I wonder if there's a book. So I went looking, and there's this play that's actually on Kindle. I'll put the link in the description of this when we finish. And I wanted to see if they said based on a true story or this is a true story in the actual Kindle version, because I thought it'd be interesting, because if they said based on a true story, I thought, aha, Netflix has sort of doubled down and changed it, not so much Richard Gadd. So I had a look, and this is the play actually appeared at the Bush Theatre. That's why I put that in. But look at this. Baby Reindeer is based on a true story. So when he wrote the play and when he performed it in the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and when he actually ended up performing it at the Bush Theatre, it was based on a true story. So how can it be based on a true story and then change to being a true story? You see what I mean? So I thought that was really, really interesting. And the other thing is, they said the same thing. Certain details have been changed to protect the identities of those involved. Now, I've got a theory, and I want to see what you think in the comments. My theory is this. Could the lawyers that are actually defending Netflix actually say that the details that were changed were the fact that she went to prison? Could they have said, we know she didn't go to prison, so we changed it saying she did go to prison so that people wouldn't think it was her because she doesn't have a record? What do you think about that theory? Would you use that? Is everyone sort of a bit behind me? I think they might be. Anyway, I'll keep babbling on. And I thought, yeah, if I was defending Netflix, that's probably the tack I would take. And then I thought, what would stop Netflix actually saying, well, no, we're not talking about you, Fiona Harvey. We saw your story, Richard Gadd saw your story on Facebook and things like that, and thought, oh, that'd be a good hook, but we're actually talking about a different stalker. Am I just too devious? Should I have been a lawyer? Because that is how I would have defended it. But anyway, I went in and I had a bit more of a look. And so they said that the 5 words that are going to, that the whole court case is about is, it is a true story. So that's good. Now I've got to bring this up a little bit bigger because I can't read it. Blind is bad. But this is Tadum, which is Netflix's sort of feature thing, when they sort of are presenting a series that's going to come up. And it's actually quite damning because in this Tadum article, Richard Gadd actually says it is a true story. In the next slide, it says, is Baby Reindeer based on a true story? And Gadd says it's a true story. So that means that could be actually make him liable as well. I mean, I know he's made about $1 million out of the series, but I mean, that's going to go pretty quickly if he has to fight a court case. So currently I think Netflix are just going to fight it, but I mean, she could come after him. But I was feeling really uncomfortable when I saw that interview on Piers Morgan. Let me know down below if you felt uncomfortable when you watched that actual interview, because I felt it seemed to sort of exploit the situation a little bit. I felt it made me uncomfortable because I just didn't think she came across as a very well woman. You let me know what you think, but yeah, I didn't think... Yeah, I felt uncomfortable. And then when I saw his interview with Laura Ray, I thought, really, she's the real victim of this whole thing, because she's already been stalked by Fiona Harvey. She's already gone through all that heartache and fear, and now she's having it all dragged up again in baby Reindeer, but she's also terrified again that she's going to become a target of Fiona Harvey again. And I found her extremely plausible on Piers Morgan. Did you actually see, did you find her plausible and believable? I did. I really did. She's a lawyer herself, and she's actually now a barrister. And she's had a really hard life. She's got a disabled son, and she's just, she went through a divorce or a separation from her husband, and her husband has actually passed away. And she had a difficult time with a will dispute with his original children from his first marriage. And she's gone through a lot. And evidently newspapers are reporting that Fiona Harvey's actually looking for a place to buy, to live in, and it's back in her area where she lives. And she's had 22 years where she's been free of all this, and it seems like it's dragged it all up again. And evidently Scotland doesn't have strict anti-stalking laws like the UK does, so she wouldn't really have any means of protection. So what would you do? Catherine says, what I don't understand is, I'm going to show this one. What I don't understand is, why did she go on with Piers to begin with? She brought attention to herself when it may have been speculation previously. Yes, good point, because you could always sort of brazen it out and pretend that it wasn't you, because you could say, well, look, it's obviously not me because I don't have any prison record. So there might be some similarities, but it's not me, But I suppose, yeah. Oh, yeah, Kat. Yes, Kat, Fiona is everyone's nightmare. You've got to watch you've got to watch Laura's interview, because if you felt uncomfortable with the first interview at all, if you got to see the first interview, you've got to see that one, because it just changes everything, in my opinion, because she was so believable. And what she said, I mean, I don't know how you could possibly cope. She was sending faxes to other lawyers' offices and everything and saying shocking things about her. So she was really affecting her reputation as a lawyer. And the whole office, she was away because she had to go to London to fight some case. And her whole office staff that was actually in the office with Fiona Harvey was in tears when she got back, threatening to quit, not coping, because she would fly into these rages and she would be really, really rude to people on the phone, and oh gosh. And then Laura Ray actually had the job of saying to her, look, I'm sorry, I don't think this is going to work out, because she gave her a traineeship. She was actually being kind. And that's when all the abuse and the stalking and the horror started. And she even reported her to the police. And Laura Ray's got a disabled son who's severely disabled. And she got home from work one day and the child services were there. And she had to sort of convince them that she was a good mother and that she was not abusing her son. And they believed her. And then she actually got an injunction against Fiona Harvey. Thank you so much, Danielle. That's so kind. Thank you very much. That's so exciting. That's my very first one. Thank you. That's lovely. Oh, hello, Laura. Have a sip. Yeah. So I don't know how I would cope with that sort of situation. Do you know how you would cope with that sort of situation? So this is actually Piers Morgan's interview with baby Reindeer's real Martha. And I've got something to tell you that I couldn't share at the time. But when I did that Andrew Gold interview, well, that was actually the night after he'd appeared on Piers Morgan. And he actually told me that when he went into the green room, Fiona Harvey was there. And she was waiting to actually be interviewed by Piers Morgan, because evidently they record quite a few shows in one day. And so she was there. And Andrew Gold was trying not to catch her eye. Because you could imagine. And because he sort of said, I really got the feeling that if anyone caught her eye, that you could end up with a new friend. Let's put it that way. So, but when he said it, he was sort of talking in cryptic terms during the show. And I didn't find out until after we finished our recording that he actually saw her in the green room at Piers Morgan. And so when he said it, I thought she was going to appear on Heretics or something. And I was thinking, oh, you're kidding me. You got Fiona Harvey. What a scoop. So, yeah. So there you go. I'm going to say hello, a few more hellos. Southern California. Hi, 4:43 a.m. My goodness me, you deserve a medal. Hope it's warm. Hello, Sweden. Cloudy summer day in Sweden. Yes, Kathy, I know. And and that's when Andrew Gold's coming back. He's coming back, I think it's in a week, and we're going to talk psychopaths, because he's got some really, really great stories, about psychopaths. Some are in his book, some are not in his book, and I've got a few good psychopath stories as well. So we're going to talk about psychopaths. Thank you, Salty Dog. A book and coffee fund? Oh my goodness me, that's going to keep me going for a while. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. That's so lovely of you. Hey, actually, I got some books that I got just a few days ago. I went down to see my mum, and there's this lovely shop on the Sunshine Coast called Book Bucket. Some of you may know it. It's down at Cotton Tree Way. And look what I got. King Edward VIII. And it's by Phil Ziegler. Now, this is the official biography. So it's not going to be as good as Trader King. It's not going to have, it's not going to have Andrew Loney's truth in it, but it's got a fair few stories. And it's going to be interesting to see the spin, because if this is the authorized biography, then it's not going to have the real juice, is it? Not going to have the real juice. And I thought it would be fun to compare this one with Andrew Loney's book. What do you think? And we can sort of see the difference between spin and the authorized biography. So that's fun. So I got that. And guess what else I got? The Spencer family. I hope that's turning up right for you. Is that back to front or mirrored or something? Or is that right? Yeah, Spencer family. And I think that's very sort of pertinent at the moment because, Charles Spencer announcing. I've actually got a slide about that coming up. And Wallace in Love by Andrew Morton. I've actually read this on Kindle, and I really, really loved it. Oh, I got all excited then. I've got to show this. Look at this. Books! Yay! More books. So we've got to think about which book we're going to do after Sarah, aren't we? Because there's so many. I mean, should we do Wallace? Should we do the that's a bit dry. The Spencer family, it's a bit dry. It's interesting. It's really interesting, but doesn't have the juice. It's sort of like a history book, And this, I think, would only be fun if it was done in comparison. So we could be, we could say, well, he says this and Andrew Loney says that. And then that would be more exciting, wouldn't it? And I've got another one, The Final Curtsy, a royal memoir by the Queen's cousin, Margaret Rhodes. And I've had a flick through this, and it's got some marvellous little photographs in it. But she was such a close mate of the Queen's. They used to go up to Balmoral, and they used to stay in a little cabin, and they used to have their barbecue lunches together. And there's beautiful photographs of the Queen just really relaxed, sitting next to her, having a picnic. And she's a fascinating woman. So that's a really good book to share. Maybe I could share share some stories out of that because there's some really lovely stories. And, thank you, Luna. That's absolutely lovely. What a beautiful, generous thing to do. Thank you. A comparison one would be a great idea to do, says Melly. Okay, I will. I'll do that. I'm actually doing a video this week of not the whole book, but I've got a really great story out of this book. This is Stephen Barry's, who was valet for the then Prince Charles. And it's not a malicious book. It hasn't got anything in it that's really nasty, but it's got lots of really funny, juicy, really cute things. And, you know, there's a little one I can give away. I was going to put in the video, but I'll still put in the video. And it's about the Queen Mum being a little bit jealous of Bobo McDonald, who was, of course, our late Queen's nanny originally, and then ended up her companion and a really good friend. And the Queen Mum apparently was a little bit jealous of her. So Stephen Barry says one day she saw them sort of come towards each other in the hall, and he could feel this sort of tension rising between them. But they stopped and greeted each other very kindly, but they just air kissed and then went on their merry way. But evidently Bobo McDonald, now get this, she started off in a railway cottage. That's where she was born. Her dad was a railway worker in Scotland, and so she was Scots born. And the lovely story is that by the time she was in her 80s, she had a suite of rooms in Buckingham Palace. She no longer had to do any duties, but in her early 80s, she used to like to go and wake up Lilibet. She was the only one outside the immediate family that was allowed to call our late Queen Lilibet. And she used to love to go and wake her up and take her in a morning tea and draw back the curtains. And then the other staff, the younger staff, would take it over from there. But she used to like to go in there just to greet her and wish her a very good morning. And that was in her early 80s. And so she had this suite of rooms, and eventually in her 80s, she retired. She died at the age of 89. And she was provided with a chauffeur-driven car. And she was allowed to exit and enter through the front gate of Buckingham Palace. And that's how much the Queen valued her. And so it was so funny to think that this railway cottage-born simple Scotswoman ended up being chauffeur-driven through the front gate of Buckingham Palace to her suite of rooms. She had her own staff. She had her own footman. She had her own, housemaids to make her room all lovely and fresh flowers, and all her meals were brought to her. And she died in her sleep peacefully at the age of 89, all secure and loved and looked after. And I just think that is such a brilliant, brilliant story, isn't it? And it just proves that if you're a genuine friend and someone that the Queen could really, really rely on, that you were looked after and loved all your life. But the interesting thing is, you think about these stories and you think, oh, yes, but she had to basically give up her life, to serve the Queen for over 50 years. But Stephen actually tells us that there was no shortage of men friends. So she had a few beaux. Now, he's not suggesting that anything salacious went on within the palace walls, but she did have, boyfriends that she would go out to dinner with, and, I don't know, maybe there was a little bit of hanky-panky, I don't know. And the other interesting thing is, this is one more fun fact, her sister, so Bobo McDonald's sister, her real name was Margaret McDonald, her sister actually was the dresser and companion and trusted staff member for Princess Margaret. So the sister looked after the sister. Isn't that amazing? I didn't know any of that, and I got all of that from this book. So there's lots of fun things in this book, really, really great things. Catherine says, I think I'd enjoy the final curtsy. Free speech. June says the royals know how to value lovely staff. Yeah. Yes, I agree. Now, what do you guys think about this? Mary West just said Angela Kelly seemed to be cut adrift. And I think she did, but I think I know why now. I found out a little bit more information because I made a video like that, Mary, about that. And I've since found out a bit of information, and it was because she had a grace and favour cottage in Windsor. And at that stage, Harry and Meghan hadn't actually released the book and hadn't actually released the docuseries. And so he was King Charles, because it was after the Queen died, of course, didn't think that it was a very good idea that she would be in Windsor, because we all know what happened with the tiara and all the bad blood. And at that stage, of course, remember that Harry and Meghan still had Frogmore Cottage. So it was decided that it would be better that she be offered her own, place near her family. And evidently it's quite a beautiful house that they got her, and that's her for her whole life. That's her house. And she's got her pension and whatever. So, yes, I think maybe she'd be a bit put out to be away from her London friends, because she's a lot further out now, or Windsor friends. But yes, there was sort of a reason behind it, but now Harry and Meghan have gone, well, yeah, the reason's gone now, because I don't think they'll be coming back. Do you? I don't think they'll be coming back at all. Okay, yes, that's right. Yeah, Mary just said, yeah, Prince Charles gave her a house to live in. And, oh, what's this? My goodness me, super sticker, Frogs and Witches. Thank you so much, Frogs and Witches, for my super sticker. That's amazing. Oh, yes, ghost stories. Yes. I thought there's so many good ones. I thought I will actually do. Now, some people don't like them. Some people do like them. So what I thought I'd do is I'd film a video where I'm just reading out your ghost stories. I'll try and make it really dim and spooky. And then people can watch it if they're into that. And then if they're not into that, they don't have to watch it. I think that would be a good idea. Separate to a normal gossip before bed, because I did get quite a few comments saying, please don't do spooky stories and gossip before bed. I'm all alone and it'll just freak me out and I won't be able to get any sleep. So I'm sympathetic to that. So I thought I would do another video and then people can click on or not. What do you think? I think that might be better, because some people hate them. They really, really hate them. I love them. I like getting a little sneaky, spooky thrill. So I think it's better if we keep it a separate video. Now, I was going to show you something else, and it was on this. And this is actually, I'll make it bigger so you can see. So this is Laura Ray, okay? And she spoke about her ordeal on Piers Morgan, and she was the woman that I was saying was so convincing. So she was an MP's wife in Scotland, and she was a victim of the real-life Martha. And she said she's considering legal action. Now, this is the interesting thing. She said on Piers Morgan that the real Fiona Harvey, well, of course she's the real Fiona Harvey, but you know what I mean, she doesn't have any money. She doesn't think. So she said that she would sue Fiona Harvey if Fiona Harvey was successful against Netflix. So she said if she gets 170 million from Netflix, I'll be suing her for defamation, because she actually said on Piers Morgan that Laura Ray was a liar and that she was making it all up. So she could sue her for defamation. So she's waiting to see if she hits the jackpot with Netflix, and then she's got... It's going to have lawsuits going around and around and around. And there's a bit more detail. So that was about the suing, which I've already told you. And I just wanted to show you a little bit of the play, because this is, I've got to say, if you've seen the series on Netflix, I found the play probably more scary, more disturbing, and it was so well written. I've got to say, Richard Gadd can really write. He can really write. And I think it's more scary when you actually read it, because your mind can fill in the picture. So you can use your own imagination to fill in the picture. And I mean, it just shows what a sick imagination I've got, because the picture that I filled in was even worse than the Netflix series. So imagine how you'd feel if you came home And your voicemail message, well, I suppose it's on your smartphone, isn't it? I'm back in the 1970s still, you know, when you came home and listened to your recorded answering machine. But 50 new messages. If your voicemail was full and it's only been within 24 hours and there's 50 new messages, wouldn't you freak? I would freak. I would be very, very, very afraid. And as the play sort of goes on, he sort of builds up. Initially, he's feeling sorry for her and he's feeling in control. And then he feels like it's getting a little scary and a little out of control. But he sort of thinks like most of us would feel, where you sort of think, oh, well, I'll just sort of jolly her out of it, or I'll just talk to her, try to talk to her sensibly, or, you know, I'll let her know that I was just being friendly, that there's nothing more to it, you know, just logical, normal person sort of attitude. Nothing worked. Nothing worked. And everything that he did made it worse. Everything he said, every point of contact, every joke he made, trying to ignore her, everything made it worse. And so it builds up, all the pressure in this play builds up until you're starting to get little snippets like, I hate the fact I'm scared of you. And you would be scared. And that, you know, you're getting all these. And now this, if you were watching the play, if you were in the theatre, it's like if you go and see Woman in Black at the theatre, which is so much better than the actual movie. If you go and see the play, it is just terrifying. And I imagined, I wish I could have seen this. And so you're sitting in the theatre and Richard Gadd says the line, I worry that she might be in here with us tonight. And everyone, I guarantee it, everyone would be looking, you'd be looking at the person next to you and you'd be looking at them, oh, I hope she isn't. It would be terrifying, absolutely terrifying. But one thing I don't understand is, thank you so much, Aussie Ruth. That's so nice. That's so nice. Oh, thank you. That's really lovely. I really appreciate it. Thank you. I was thinking that I would have probably left where he worked. I would have changed my phone number. And I would have even moved interstate, I think, if something like that had happened. Wouldn't you have moved? I mean, aren't you a sitting duck, just sort of keeping on? But then again, it's not so easy. He didn't have any money. I mean, he was just working in a pub, you know, for really low wage and tips, and he was paying rent. And I mean, it's not easy if you don't have any money, is it? I mean, it's not easy to just pick up sticks and go. So that's probably a stupid comment. But I think I would do anything just to get out of there. That's what I'd do. Oh, Ellie Anderson. What a lovely name. Spooky stories with gossip before bed for those of us who are 11:30 p.m. is a bit rough. Yeah, you were rocking this live, Shauna. Can you please sing something for Catherine next time? Oh, that's so sweet. Yes, I will make it separate because it would be scary. It would be scary. That's not good. Yeah. Oh, New York City. Woo! I love New York City. Oh, I've never been. I've never been to the USA. I've been to Taiwan. I've been to Hong Kong. I've been to China. I've been to Namibia. I've been to Vanuatu. But I've never been to the USA. So I'm going to have to make a trip, aren't I? I'd love to go to New York City, and I'd love to go down south, and I'd love to, there's so many things I'd love to do. So many things I'd love to do. I'd love to go to New Orleans and yeah. And is it New York City that has that really great jazz club? Is it still there, Tavern on the Green? Is that still a thing, or is that like, am I about 20 years out of date? But I remember I saw, does anyone know the singer Nancy Lamotte? I absolutely adore Nancy Lamotte. She was just such a beautiful singer, and she tragically died quite young. But she did this beautiful live album, and it was Nancy Lamotte live Tavern on the Green. And it just blew me away. And I thought, one day I would love to go to that place, but it's probably closed down now. Modern Monarchy, are you being funny? I missed your comment. What's this one? My sister and I took our dear mum to see The Woman in Black at the theatre. And my dear ma thought we were trying to scare her to death. Yes, well, it's funny. I tried to get tickets because it was in Bris Vegas, which is Brisbane for all of you that are overseas, for my mum for Mother's Day. Originally, you know how we went away for a night away. Well, originally I wanted to take her to Woman in Black, and it was on at the QPAC Theatre in Brisbane, and I couldn't get tickets. The tickets were up in the heavens. There's no way we could have seen anything. We would have needed opera glasses, but we probably could have put up with that maybe, but the seats were separate. We would have had to have sat separately, and that's not very much fun, is it? And it's like that for every show at the Queensland Performing Arts Centre. If you don't, you've got to be on the early email list, and if you don't get in within the first 24 hours for any show for tickets, you just do not get a ticket, or at least not together. They just sell out so fast. Did any of you guys get caught up with the Ticketmaster thing, the breach of that? Did you get caught up with that? I hope not. I was lucky because I haven't been anywhere and done anything exciting or seen any shows. So as soon as they said Ticketmaster, had been hacked, I thought, oh, well, I'll be fine. I haven't seen any Ticketmaster show for I don't know how long. So that was great. Thanks, Susan. Thank you very much. That's lovely of you. Susan just congratulated me on the 70,000 subs. Tavern on the Green. Tavern on the Green? What? Where are you? Come back. Tavern on the Green opens at 9 a.m. And do they still have like jazz, cabaret and things like that of an evening? And is it lovely? And do they have live piano players and things like that? Because that'd be fun. I saw Noni Hazelhurst in Mother The. I don't know that play. She'd be brilliant. Actually, my husband and I went to the Blue Mountains. This was back when we were really, really young, pre-kids, pre-marriage, I think. And we went to the Blue Mountains and we went to this gorgeous little restaurant, and it was very romantic. And who should be sitting there was Noni Hazelhurst. And she was married to that really famous male actor, and I can't remember his name. Does anyone know his name? He was really gorgeous, really, really gorgeous. And they were sitting there having dinner, and I just was so starstruck because, Noni Hazelhurst, she was very famous, especially back then. Back then she was very famous. What's this? Shauna, go to Chicago. It's safe, very beautiful, and an extremely clean city with lots of jazz, springtime and the holidays. Oh, that's good recommendation. Chicago. Is it really windy? Or is that just a cliche? John Jarratt. Wendy Spencer, you're a legend. What movie did John Jarratt actually star in? Because I can't remember. It was really famous too. Hi, Rachel, sipping red wine. Lucky you. I've got absolutely nothing in the fridge except 4X Gold, which is a light beer, for those of you that don't know, which is my husband's thing. And I can't drink 4X like Gold because I would have done a little burpee thing on the live, which wouldn't have been very nice. Yes, John Jarratt is gorgeous. We are in agreement. It was sad they broke up, wasn't it? They broke up, Noni Hazelhurst and John Jarratt. Love Noni. She was back when I'm talking about, she would have been in her really early 30s. And, it was when she was doing all those lovely period sort of Australian dramas and everything. But look, we're losing all the people from the UK, US, Sweden, South Africa, everything. They're going, what are you talking about? Who is Noni Hazelhurst? This is really, really boring. So I don't blame you. I'm going to go on to something even more interesting. Here we go. Now I'm going to go past this because I've got to tell you something. One final really juicy thing about Baby Reindeer. This is really juicy. So in Baby Reindeer, he actually accuses a scriptwriter of sexually assaulting him, or actually I think he accused him of raping him, right? So it was really serious sexual assault. And he accuses this scriptwriter of grooming him. There was a lot of drug use, and he woke up after a lot of drugs were taken one night, and, the rape had happened, and he was off his face. And that's why he never reported it to the police, because he felt complicit in that he'd been in that position and had taken drugs and all that sort of thing. But he didn't really expect that to happen, right? So really traumatized by it all. Trouble was, when Baby Reindeer came out, everybody, all the armchair detectives went off searching not only for Fiona Harvey, but went off searching for him and for this, script writer. So they went through all the shows that Richard Gadd had actually appeared on and all that sort of thing, and they thought they found the guy. Now, the trouble is, the guy they thought they found looked like the character that was in the Baby Reindeer Netflix show. Trouble was, it wasn't him. It wasn't him. It's been confirmed that it was a misidentity, that it wasn't this guy. He was a completely innocent, and his name was ripping around social media. So I would think that he would have a case, wouldn't you? I mean, gosh, imagine, wouldn't you just, and he had a family too. Now, this guy, Richard Osman, he has a podcast, and he came out and said that everyone in the industry knows who it really is. And it makes you think, if everyone in the industry knows who it really is, then shouldn't everyone in the industry actually report him to the authorities and actually do the right thing? You would wonder, wouldn't you? You would wonder. So this is actually Richard Osman, and that's just Richard Gadd, so that's not that exciting. But the person they cast in the role looks like this other guy, looks like the guy who's been falsely accused. And it's such a weird, bizarre thing to do, because this poor guy has death threats and he's had to issue a statement to say, it's not me. So, oh gosh, there is so much. And if they had just said, based on a true story, then all this would go away. All of this would go away. Now, I wanted to get on to Charles Spencer and the third divorce. Now, after the third divorce, do you think you would start to think it was you? Would you? Would you start to think that you were the problem after the third divorce? And evidently he doesn't speak to his daughters, and he didn't go to his daughters' weddings, and I know he treated his first wife appallingly. Not so sure about the second wife. I'm not sure why that all broke up. But Lady C actually says a lot of things, doesn't she, about the Spencers? And she says that they're rather volatile, and the men in the Spencer family are known for their quick tempers and their, inappropriate reactions to things and not treating their wives very well. I mean, Johnny Spencer, Charlie's dad, was very violent, and, he used to bash up his first wife. I don't know whether he ever did that to Rain Spencer. It's interesting. She seems to be quite a formidable sort of character who seemed to be able to hold her own and bring out the best in him. Mind you, he was quite frail by the time they got married, so maybe he wasn't he wasn't robust enough to be, violent with her. But yeah, it's interesting, because you do sort of think that maybe Charles Spencer might be the problem. Now I'm going to play devil's advocate, because he does say in the newspaper article that it was the trauma from writing this book, A Very Private School, that actually made his third marriage break up. Because he said that he was so traumatized that he actually ended up in a residential mental health facility for a period of time. But he did say something quite sad. He said, I have a habit of marrying beautiful women who don't love me. And I thought, well, that could be a poor me, pity play in that, or it could be he's saying that he went through all this trauma and went into a mental health facility and she bailed out on him at that point. But then again, you could also say that maybe the poor woman went through hell for 13 years. Was it 13 years? They've been married quite a while, I think. And this is the picture of him, of course, as a little boy, going off to boarding school, and he was genuinely abused at boarding school. Like the book is, it's been verified by a lot of people that were actually at school at the same time. A lot of people have come out of the woodwork and actually verified what he said. So what a screwed up family. I mean, it's just horrible, isn't it? Because when you just see the pain and the trauma and what's going on, and you could see that it came out in Diana, and you can see that it obviously has come out with Charles Spencer. But evidently, he's got, how's this for some juice? I'll go full screen so you can see me because I'm about to share a juicy snippet. Evidently, he's actually on with an archaeologist who's helping him dig out the Roman ruins on his grounds, Althorp's grounds. It's Althorp, isn't it? Althorp is how the English pronounce it, I think. You can correct me. And, yeah. So, yes, it was. Yes, I just saw the real Gigi. Yes, that the matron actually was assaulting numerous 12, 13-year-old boys. And, oh, my goodness me. And the headmaster used to actually get them, there used to be young boys' names read out at the end of each day. So a head boy or a senior boy would come into their junior sort of common room and read out a list of names of boys that had to go to the headmaster's office for some minor infraction, like something they wouldn't even know that they'd done. And then they had to choose between a cane, a slipper and something else. And, Charles Spencer says in the book that the headmaster got right off on this, like he was a sicko. Evil sicko. And so my first reaction is, third divorce, what a loser, serves you right, sort of really mean. And then the other side of me thinks, well, no, look at what he's just told us. And and maybe people like that who have suffered so much trauma, maybe they're better off not getting married. I hope he doesn't get married again, because it's just going to end in tears, isn't it? Yes, Beverly, yes. Francis, his mother, was treated badly by his father. Indeed, she was. Yes, horrible. And he used to lock her out of the house. She would come back, because she fled because she was sick of getting bashed up and she was sick of being treated really badly. And she came back to see the kids and he locked her out. And she was just sobbing out the front, wouldn't let her see the kids. And, of course, her own mother, Ruth Fermoy, didn't help her in court. And that was because Ruth Fermoy thought that the kids would have a better life if they were still allowed to live within Park House, which was the house they actually leased from the royal family because, of course, Johnny Spencer's father was still alive, so he hadn't managed to inherit his family seat yet. And so she thought that the children would have a better life if they still had that contact with the royal family and still had that sort of high society contact. And so she, testified against her own daughter in court. How could anyone get over that? I actually felt really moved when I read Paul Burrell's book about Francis Shankidd, and it was after Diana died and they were waiting to go in for the memorial service, and Francis Shankidd was just sitting on a sort of some rocks outside, like edge of a fence, a stone fence, and he went up to her and gave her it was a cross, and it was a cross that Diana had given him. And he gave it to Diana's mother and said, I think this would be better with you. I think she'd want you to have it. And I think that was really, really kind. And she was just sitting on her own. And it wasn't the big church service with all the royal family. It was when they went back for the private burial. And she was just very much on her own. And Paul Burrell just felt so sorry for her. And I thought that was a really moving part of her book. And I just thought, the poor woman, because for the last year before Diana died, they weren't talking. They were not talking at all. And that was because Francis Shankidd actually gave an interview. Now, I think it was in, what was it in? Was it in Vogue or was it in Hello? It was in one of the magazines that Diana felt that she had a good relationship with. And Francis Shankidd actually gave this interview, and it was quite mild and was quite flattering to Diana, really. But she felt her mother spoke out of turn and, she had no right to talk to them. And so she didn't talk to her for a whole year, and then she died, So it just proves it's just not worth it, was it? Okay, this is from Aussie Ruth. Yep, Paul Francis was a victim of serious family violence, according to several people, that then made an extraordinary difference to the subsequent upbringing of the Spencer children. Yeah. Yes, yes. Yes, good point, Beverly Todd. Ruth organised Francis marrying Althorpe. I've got to say Althorpe because I always say Althorpe and it's not, is it? At the time he was dating Lady Anne Coke, Lady Glenconner. Oh, isn't she a legend? I just love her books. Have you read Lady Glenconner's books? Has everybody read them? Oh, gee, they're good. They're so good. Mind you, when I heard what she had to do as a lady in waiting for Princess Margaret, I thought I wouldn't want that job. I just thought it sounded horrific. I thought it sounded like a whole lot of responsibility. It sounded like a lot of the time when they went travelling overseas, they weren't, the ladies in waiting weren't treated very well. They were sort of looked down upon a little bit. And look, Lady Glenconner was a grand lady of high society, but compared to Princess Margaret, a lot of the places where they would go to stay, they would treat her like she was a servant or something. I don't think they understood what a lady in waiting was. I think they thought it was actually a servant and so they didn't know that it was a lady of society that volunteered her time. It's interesting to read in this book, actually, that with the ladies in waiting, they used to have 5 of them, and they would do 2 weeks on, and then they would have a break and then do another 2 weeks. And it's interesting that this lady, Margaret Rhodes, the Queen used to always make sure that she got her 2 weeks when she was up at Balmoral because she just loved her so much and she wanted her to be up at Balmoral with her and having a bit of fun. But they would do a solid 2 weeks on. They weren't paid. And so often they had to be ladies that were from very well-to-do families. They had to have tiaras and things like that. They had to have family jewels because they had to go to state dinners and things. So they had to have all the right gear. And, no money, no compensation, just I think they got a bit of expense money. A little bit of expense money. And I think Lady Glenconner actually said that she's also gets health care. There's a Buckingham Palace clinic, evidently, and staff and, people associated can go to this sort of get medical care. Or I think it was in Kensington Palace. They can get medical care. Oh, it's freezing in Tassie. Just tucked up in bed, freezing, and up you came. Perfect. Yay! That's really cozy. Oh, I love Tassie. I've got to get back to Tassie. I haven't been to Tassie since I was little, but it's such a beautiful place. Oh, yes, the Spencers. This is interesting, Bianca. The Spencers lived in South Africa for a while. Never ran into him, though. We move in different circles. Oh, so you must move in good circles then. That's great, though. Wow, how interesting. Yes, I think he was basically escaping in South Africa, wasn't he? Wasn't he escaping bad press there for a while? His daughters are very beautiful. It's very sad he doesn't get to talk to them because, gosh, they're stunning, aren't they? All the Spencer girls are stunning. There's a lot of cold Australians in the chat. There's a lot of cold Australians. Everyone's saying it's freezing, it's freezing. And there it is, beautiful summer over in the UK. So that's beautiful. I hope it's going to be good weather for the Trooping the Colour. And because that'll make it all the more spectacular, won't it? Is there anyone in the chat in the UK that has actually been to a live Trooping the Colour? I would love to see. Oh, it's even freezing in the Whitsundays? What? I don't believe you. Can't be freezing in the Whitsundays. Oh, now this is interesting. Sweet Freedom. Trader Ken could be a carbon copy story of Harkle. So many similarities, it's unreal. Has, like Edward, wants to be a roving ambassador to the Commonwealth using a diplomatic visa. Indeed. Yes, he wants that IPP status reinstated, doesn't he? I was interested to read that because he's on a high diplomat visa in the USA, which who knew, he can't be actually convicted of any crimes in the USA. So, for example, if he was caught with drugs on him, and I'm not suggesting that he would, I'm just using this as a hypothetical example because we all know that there's no way that he would ever be in that situation. But if he was ever in possession of any form of illegal thing, he can't be charged. He can't be charged. So I just think that's astounding. And evidently he can come and go whenever he likes. There's no restriction. You know, normally if you're on a working visa, you've got to, like every 3 months, you've got to renew it, or and there's other sorts of visas where you've got to go out of the country and then come back into the country. I was on a working visa in Noumea for a while, and yes, we had to reapply every 3 months, and it was very arduous. We had to get police checks and, oh gosh, I had to go into the consulate and try and speak French, and it was a nightmare. I didn't have enough French, and it was very awkward, but we made ourselves understood. Oh, here we go. What's this? Yes, I was there living in London, trooping the colour. 2014, I took my adult son and 15-year-old daughter on a walk and ended up in Green Park. We had prime views of the balcony. Oh, I could just imagine it. What a memory. Wow, what a memory. You must be absolutely thrilled. This is an interesting one. Demoiselle21, I am in the UK but have to confess I've never been to Trooping of the Colour. Have been to Tower of London, seen Buckingham Palace. Well, that's good. I mean, it's the same with here. I mean, wherever you live, isn't it? Wherever you live, people are shocked that you haven't gone to see all the touristy things. But when you live there, you think you've got all the time in the world to get around to it. And then time passes by and then you think, oh, I've never done that. It's like we're getting the Olympics in Brisbane. When are we getting them? 2030 something? And everyone's already asking me now, oh, are you going to get tickets for the Olympics? And I'm thinking, well, I don't know. It's too far off. And quite frankly, I think you get a better view on television. Does that make me old? That might make me old. But it would be an amazing atmosphere to go to the opening ceremony, wouldn't it? It would be amazing. Would be amazing. You can't beat the live feeling, can you? When I was over in London, this is all that fluff and stuff, I was meant to do the Jack the Ripper tour, but I went to a poet copy and ended up in Paris. How did that happen? That's funny. Oh, that is so funny. Oh, that's hilarious. I hope you got some photos. That is so fun, so fun. Anyone who has a diplomatic visa has diplomatic immunity. Canberra is full of diplomats. Every country has diplomats for other countries. Oh, I've got to tell you too, when I was in Noumea and I was doing this contract at a really, really posh hotel, Alexander Downer was our foreign minister. No, was he our foreign? Yeah, he was a foreign minister. And at the time, the French and the Australians were having this huge argument about nuclear testing in the Pacific. And that was what made it so hard for us to get our visa, because there was, when we went to the French consulate in Brisbane to get our visa, there was actually bomb padding in the lift to go up to the visa because visa office, because they'd had so many bomb threats. So, you know, it was really fraught relations. So in the first week we're there, Alexander Downer walks in. All the Aussies will know who I'm talking about. So a member of our government, and he was our foreign minister, and he was over there to negotiate with the French and to work out about this nuclear testing, because it was all happening around the Pacific near, you know, Noumea. All the French sort of officials were in Noumea at the time. And I said to my husband, okay, so let's watch what goes up from the bar, because all the room service orders would have, the bar was to our right. Sure enough, within about 15 minutes of Alexander Downer going into his room, we saw all these ice buckets and bottles of the top-notch French champagne heading to his room. All on the Australian taxpayer, people. All on the Australian taxpayer. And if I had have had social media at that time, I would have been snapping with my smartphone and I would have been putting it up on X. This is where your tax dollars are going. So he's just lucky the smartphones didn't exist back then. He's just lucky. Oh, what else have we got? The pants down minister. Yes. We did have his pants on, but he did drink a lot of French champagne. Actually, even the bar staff couldn't believe it. And I was saying, what, are all the officials in his room or something? And no, it was just his wife and him and another bloke and his wife. And they got through a fair bit, I've got to tell you. This is from Jacqueline Van Wickevoort. What a beautiful name. I'm probably mispronouncing that. The Spencers are very nice people and Charles is a very interesting person in his podcast. Yes. Well, that's interesting because I haven't heard anybody say that the Spencers are very nice people. So there you go. That's good. That's balanced out the discussion. I'm glad that you commented. And I must listen to his podcast because I haven't listened to it yet. And like I said, I do have sympathy for him after he wrote his book. You'd have to have a stone cold heart not to feel for that little boy, wouldn't you? Dana. Shall we not talk about Dana? Okay. I thought it was a funny little anecdote though, but anyway. Allegedly, Shauna. Of course, everything's allegedly, but I did see the champagne with my own eyes. And he doesn't know. Actually, the barman is still my mate. So, if I get challenged on that story, I can prove it. I've got witnesses, baby. I've got witnesses. What's that about Lady C? Hang on, I've missed it. You're moving too fast. Shauna, I'm so glad I caught your first live. Did you see Lady C's latest vlog? No, I haven't. That's my treat. As I'm going to sleep tonight, I'm going to watch Lady C. Trouble is I always fall asleep because I have my headphones in. But no, I haven't yet. So is it juicy? I think it sounds like it's really juicy. That's good. Oh my God, I just woke up and you're live. Oh, this is interesting. Neil Sean thinks Charles Spencer is nice too. Aha. Well, there you go. He probably is really nice. It's probably just his wives that don't. I'm just teasing. I'm not really being serious. Of course, I don't know him. He's probably really nice. Chippy Welsh. We know Chippy Welsh from A Gossip Before Bed, don't we? She leaves really fantastic comments. My husband has posh connections. He hates it when I point it out. He's very embarrassed about it. We've got chairs with family crests on them hidden in the attic. Oh, tell him not to be ashamed. He should be proud. It'd be wonderful. I would love to have posh connections. Oh, it'd just be fantastic. I'd love to have a country home. I'd like to have a castle. I'd like to have chairs with ancestral emblems on them. I think it would be great. Okay, what else have we got? Oh, look, there's a lot of people saying that the Spencers are decent people. Okay, so, look, I don't want to really offend people. Just me. I'm very late, but wanted to pop in. Shauna, you're doing great. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. So we'll have to agree. Yes, I agree. Yes, Salty Dog, I agree. Charles Spencer is brave to tell the truth. Sounds like a lot of you have read his book. And I think that's where my sympathy is really for him, is his book. Have a lot of you read his book? Because it sounds like a lot have. Yeah. So that's amazing. I hope he does get back with his daughters again. I hope he does get a relationship with them then. What's this? I think Charles Spencer, like some of his other relatives, are lovely until they're not. Then he's probably impossible. Yeah. Well, see, two things can be true at the same time, can't they? We found that in Housekeeper's Diary, didn't we? With, there's two sides to Diana. Like I said, there's the perfect, compassionate, really professional, beautiful side that you couldn't fault, and it was genuine. And then there was the other side that was traumatized, and, you know, she sort of acted out in her behavior and everything. There's two sides to the tale, and I think probably with Charles Spencer there's two sides too. There's two sides to the story, and two things can be true at the same time, can't they? Because we're very complex creatures, aren't we? I mean, we're not all good, we're not all bad, we're just, you know, a lot of the time we're a bit of both. Yes, socially charming. Yes, that's a really good point. That's a really good point. Charles Spencer is probably socially charming. That can be, you know, very good at social smoothing, and that's probably how he got three wives. Yeah. Too slow to read all the comments for fun anyway. Yes, I know. There's no way you can read all the comments. They just whiz past at a fast pace, don't they? Well, I might have to leave it there, my darlings, because I've been going for an hour, and I promised my husband that I wouldn't go much further than an hour because he's got to get up for work at 5 a.m. in the morning, and by the time I sort of do what I've got to do, he's not going to get much sleep. So I did promise I've got to go. I don't want to go because it's been so much fun. But thank you so much for joining me. I will see you for a Gossip Before Bed on Wednesday evening as normal, and we'll do these lives again. I think I would like to make them maybe a book chat, because we really sort of fired up about Charles Spencer, didn't we? So that's really interesting. You never know where the conversation is going to go, and that's the beauty of it. Thank you very much for making my first live so lovely. Oh, thank you, Andrea. That's lovely. Love you all very much. See ya. Bye. See you Wednesday. Bye.